Falcons fans, this past hour has been one of the most shocking, emotional, and unforgettable moments we've seen in years. This wasn't just football, this was raw humanity on full display. 1 second, we were locked into a hard-fought game against the Lions. The next, the entire stadium was holding its breath, praying for a man's life. If you think this is just another preseason game, you're wrong. What happened tonight will stick with us for a long, long time. It all unfolded late in the game. The scoreboard read Lions 17, Falcons 10. The fourth quarter had just begun when backup running back Nathan Carter took the handoff for Atlanta. He lowered his shoulder, fighting for every inch, when disaster struck. Maurice Norris, the Lions' backup safety, went low to wrap up Carter's legs. But in the chaos of the tackle, Carter's knee drove straight into Norris's helmet, snapping his head back violently. You could see it immediately. Something was wrong. Players stopped. Coaches froze. The crowd went silent. Within moments, medical staff sprinted onto the field. Then the ambulance rolled in. Both teams emptied their benches. Grown men, fierce competitors just seconds earlier, dropped to one knee together. Falcons and Lions players stood side by side, hands on each other's shoulders, watching in total silence. Reports from Dan Campbell later confirmed that Norris was blinking, breathing, talking, and moving slightly. But no one knew the full extent of the injury. It was terrifying. You couldn't help but think of the Damar Hamlin moment years ago, the same fear, the same unity. And then came the decision. The Falcons and Lions met at midfield, and as one, they agreed. No more snaps tonight. This game no longer mattered. The only thing that mattered was Maurice Norris. It was a powerful, emotional act of sportsmanship, the kind that reminds you why football is more than just a game. These are warriors on the field, but at the end of the day, they're also brothers in this sport. Tonight, every single man out there proved it. As for the game itself, the numbers tell the story. The Falcons struggled on offense, with just 207 total yards to the Lions' 246, 9 first downs to their 14, and only 1 third down conversion out of 7 attempts. But truthfully, none of that matters tonight. What matters is that a man is fighting to recover, and an entire football community is standing behind him. Falcons Nation, drop your thoughts below. How do you feel about the decision to end the game? And most importantly, flood the comments with love for Maurice Norris. Let's make sure he and his family know an entire league is praying for him. After the emotional and heartbreaking moment that stopped the game earlier, the rest of the action on the field still told its own story. Even in preseason, there are battles being fought for roster spots, and tonight was no different. Both teams had their share of mistakes. Penalties slowed down drives, and for a while, possession leaned toward the Falcons. But that last stretch of the game? The clock was drained away as Emory Jones kneeled it out, sealing the night. Detroit split quarterback duties between Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker. Neither looked spectacular, but Kyle Allen had the sharper outing. The highlight for the Lions came from an unlikely source, rookie wide receiver Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. On one key play, he lined up against Falcons defensive back D, Alfred. Tesla made his move on a fade route toward the back pylon. Alfred tried to stick with him, but Tesla's size and positioning gave him the edge. Allen floated it perfectly, and Tesla hauled it in for 6. Smooth, clean execution. Of course, this is preseason football. No Jared Goff. Most starters in street clothes. But for a young player like Tesla, this was a statement moment. On the Falcons side of the ball, a few players made sure the coaches noticed them tonight. One of the brightest spots was Dylan Drummond, and let me tell you, this kid played like he was everywhere. He racked up 8 catches for 63 yards, showing crisp route running and smart football IQ. He found those soft zones in the middle of the field, slipped into open space, and turned upfield with speed. He was quick to get out of bounds to avoid heavy hits, a veteran move in a young player's body. That kind of field awareness is rare. Then there was Chris Blair, the man responsible for the Falcons' only touchdown of the night. End of the first half, 2-minute drill, red zone. Blair lined up one-on-one on the outside. Off the snap, he hit his defender with a nasty double move, creating just enough separation. Easton Stick dropped it right where it needed to be. Same kind of fade route Tesla scored on earlier, but this time it was in Falcons colors. Back corner of the end zone, perfect catch, 6 points. Easy money. For preseason, these are the kinds of plays that stand out. Drummond and Blair didn't just play, they showed the kind of hunger that earns you a spot when final roster cuts come. Falcons fans, who impressed you more tonight? Dylan Drummond with his 8 grabs or Chris Blair with that beautiful touchdown? Drop your pick in the comments and let's see who the fan favorite is right now. Nick Nash, the undrafted rookie from San Jose State, had a night that started quietly but finished with some spark. For most of the first half, you barely noticed him. Then, in the second half, he came alive. One of his best moments came on a simple curl route. He caught the pass, planted hard, and spun his hips around the defender in one smooth motion, breaking free for a 14-yard gain. It wasn't a highlight reel touchdown, but it was the kind of sharp, confident play coaches love to see from a rookie fighting for a roster spot. At quarterback, it was a mixed bag. Easton Stick came out looking shaky, slow reads, no rhythm, and struggling badly on third downs. But as the game went on, he found his groove. In the second quarter, he started moving the offense with quick, decisive throws. Then came the 2-minute drill before halftime, his best moment of the night. Stick marched the offense down the field with precision, capping it with a touchdown. He finished with a strong stat line: 15 completions on 18 attempts, 149 yards, and 1 score. From a rough start to a confident finish, that's how you respond as a quarterback. But the real story of the night, the Falcons' defense. That's where the energy, the swagger, and the big plays came from. Josh Woods was everywhere. He delivered one of the most exciting defensive plays of the night with what was essentially a strip sack, forcing a fumble just inches past the line of scrimmage. The stat sheet might not call it a sack, but trust me, it felt like one. Woods racked up 7 tackles, closed gaps fast, and blanketed the middle of the field like a veteran leader. Time after time, he got to the ball carrier and shut the play down. Then there was DeMarco Hellams, making his return after missing all of last season, and he made sure everyone in the building knew he was back. He was flying around, lowering his shoulder, and delivering booming hits. One of those bone-crushing tackles even drew a questionable unsportsmanlike penalty, but if you saw it, you know. It was clean, hard, and pure football. The Falcons' defense wasn't just solid, they were punishing. They played with the kind of physical edge that makes offenses think twice the next time they touch the ball. Falcons fans, who impressed you more on defense tonight? Josh Woods with his forced fumble or DeMarco Hellams with those big hits? Drop your vote in the comments and let's settle it. DeMarco Hellams didn't rack up huge numbers on the stat sheet, just 3 tackles, but every single one of them left a mark. These weren't routine wrap-ups. These were punishing, highlight-level hits that sent a message. If you're coming across the middle, you'd better think twice. For a player returning from injury, he looked fearless, explosive, and ready to force his way into a bigger role in 2025. And then there was Arnold Ebiketie, making his presence felt in a big way. He finished with 2 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble, another strip sack, giving the Falcons 2 on the night. Plays like that change games, even in preseason. They're momentum shifters, the kind of moments that fire up a sideline and show exactly why fans have been begging for a more aggressive, disruptive defense. That's exactly what Atlanta delivered. The defense didn't just show up. They came out with purpose, with energy, with the kind of physicality that screams, this is not last year's unit. Sure, the rookie first-rounders didn't light it up in their debuts. James Pierce Jr. barely showed up on the stat sheet, and Jalen Walker recorded only one tackle. But let's be real, this was their first taste of NFL action. They're still learning the speed, still adjusting to the play calls, and still finding their rhythm. Their time will come. Meanwhile, Xavier Woods flashed his athleticism, flying into tackles with speed and range. Billy Bowman made his mark on special teams, coming up with a strong play that coaches will definitely remember. When you look at the full picture, this was exactly the kind of defensive performance Falcons fans were hoping to see in Week 1 of the preseason: aggressive, disciplined, and relentless. Sure, there were a couple of mistakes. Alfred got beat badly on one play, and there were a few moments they'll want back. But overall, this was an A- performance in my book. The offense, on the other hand, still has work to do. If I'm grading them, I'd give them a C, flashes of promise, but too many missed opportunities. Combine the two, and the Falcons' overall preseason debut probably lands around a B or B-. But tonight wasn't just about football. The Maurice Norris injury is still weighing heavy on everyone. What happened was frightening, and it's something you never want to see in this game. The unity, the compassion, the humanity we saw from both teams, that's the real headline. Falcons fans, your turn. Drop your grades for the offense, defense, and overall performance in the comments. And while you're at it, send your thoughts and prayers for Maurice Norris. Some moments are bigger than football, and tonight was one of them.